I wonder how I could really optimize my website SEO. Hi, I'm British male voiceover Chris Tester. I'm a voice actor with a voiceover home studio that lives in the United Kingdom, who is British and male and acts over things with his voice. Yes, nailed it. I've spoken previously about the value of having a good website as a voiceover artist. It's your shop window, a place to put all of your wonderful branding, your marketing, your content, and most importantly, your demos in one place on a platform that you control, that you can then direct people to. But invariably, as we work on these websites, the question of search engine optimization, or SEO, comes up. Wouldn't it be great to be on the first page of Google so that all of the work could just come to you? Now, I only properly started focusing on SEO in the last 18 months or so. And I started by having a great conversation by Karen Barth from Voiceover Websites about the keywords that I should be using and how best to implement it on my Squarespace website. But because obviously a lot of voiceovers are trying to do the same thing, I still wasn't particularly high on the ranking of the searches that I was looking for, which was British male voiceover or male voiceover when searching in the UK, probably ranking around about the 6th or 7th page on Google. Now, on the question of how to improve your SEO, rather than regurgitate a lot of other people's content, I would simply point you in the direction of 2 podcasts. The first one is Mark Scott with Lynn Nottage, and the second one is the VO Socials with Helen B, and I'll link to both of those below. They give a great overview of all the different things that you need to bear in mind, the importance of keywords and what that actually means, as well as new content. But what I want to do in this video is actually question whether or not it's really worth the time and the effort. So I did 2 things to get really serious about my SEO. The first thing that I did was, because I'm using Squarespace, I wanted to outsource the optimization of my site to someone who actually utilizes that platform, so they were familiar with the platform that I'm using and they know exactly what boxes needed ticking. And the cost of that process was about £800. And on top of that, the second thing I did was that I started this YouTube channel. Now, you may well ask, why on earth would you start a YouTube channel to help with your SEO? Well, one big struggle with SEO is that you want to keep your site updated as much as possible. Google likes it if your site is constantly updating, because it suggests that therefore it's being kept updated with new content and therefore it may have more value. It's got more stuff to crawl, essentially. And so I baked this aspect into my workflow. A lot of the videos that I post here, I then repurpose by getting them transcribed and posted as blogs on my site. Because I'm talking about voiceover, about being a British male voiceover, that I'm talking about video production and e-learning and all of these terms, then these naturally occur as keywords in all of those blogs as a result. The company that I hired to optimize my SEO gave me some guidelines on how best to incorporate all of that into all of the blogs that I published, and I made sure that I do that on a consistent basis. It means that I'm not solely dependent on getting new demos in order to be able to update my site regularly. The result of all this, and obviously with the caveat of it depends entirely on where you're Googling from and also what you're Googling, is that my site's SEO for the keywords that I've been targeting is definitely improved. If I do an incognito search for British male voiceover or male voiceover or male voiceover home studio, then I'm usually on the 1st or 2nd page. And significantly, this has been borne out by the number of views on my site. Whereas last year I averaged about 300 views per month, this has gone up substantially in the first 6 months of 2022 to 600 views per month. And this in turn has led to a certain number of inquiries and, yes, even jobs. So I average probably about 1 inquiry a week from someone who's contacted me purely after a Google search, and I've booked about 3 or 4 jobs from that, which means that, yes, the whole process has paid for itself technically. But would I recommend doing what I do? Well, I wouldn't prioritize it. Firstly, it's time consuming and or it's expensive to do. And that's the whole reason why I outsourced it. And yes, obviously I've seen results, but that's only because I've been developing my website over a number of years and already optimized it organically anyway. Google might like a site which has multiple different pages because it gives more to crawl. But if you don't have the content, you don't have the demos, you don't have the branding to be able to fill out a website properly, then you shouldn't be adding pages to it it preemptively just to try and pursue the SEO if it's going to sacrifice the user experience for those people that you're directing to it in the first place. If a one-page site is going to present you best as a voiceover right now, then I'd say be incredibly comfortable with that rather than trying to do something else. I've already touched on what I think makes a good website for a freelance voiceover in this video, and I would really recommend checking that out if you're not familiar with it already. I might also take this opportunity to add that my Skillshare course, The Business of Voiceover, really goes in depth on things like website and how it integrates into your marketing efforts as a whole. And it's completely free if you sign up for a trial, just saying. But in the context of SEO, what I would really say is focus on making sure that your branding and the functionality and the information that you're providing is serving your customers' pain points as efficiently as possible. That's your priority. The Google algorithm is a moving target, and as I've already established in previous videos, you don't like algorithms because that means that they're beyond your control. They can change at any time, and I've already found out that for people in different parts of the world, when they do the same searches as me, they get radically different results. Sometimes I'm still 20 or 30 pages down in line for the keywords that I'm targeting. Instead, focus on making your website as useful to your customers as possible, and if you find that you have the opportunity to lean into the SEO for a marginal gain further down the line, then go for it. People who find me cold on Google are going to be less warm leads than people that I've actually reached out or networked to beforehand, because they'll have had some form of actual introduction about what I'm selling and what my skills are. If you're approaching the building of your website properly, as long as you're conscious of some of the tenets as well from those podcasts that I recommended, then you should be going in the right direction, and then you can make a choice about whether or not it's really worth pushing further on. At this stage, 6 months in, having that improved ranking, the income that I get from having technically good SEO on my website is still really marginal, and it's a fraction of my overall income compared to my direct marketing, my freelance work, or anything else. So I'd always recommend that any measure that you do take has other benefits in mind than purely just an SEO one. I hope you found this video useful, and if you have, please do like, subscribe, and if you've tried working on your SEO as well, then by all means leave your experiences in the comments below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.